Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm Jake, your host, and today we have a fantastic guest joining us to tackle a common hurdle in language learning. Rachel, it's great to have you here.
Thanks, Jake. It's always a pleasure to be on and chat about something I'm so passionate about.
Absolutely. Today, we're diving into a topic that I know many English learners struggle with, that feeling of discouragement when you're listening to English audio and you just don't seem to understand everything.
It's a very real feeling, Jake, and honestly, it's one of the biggest psychological barriers. But what if I told you that understanding only 30% of what you hear is not just okay, but actually a really effective starting point?
That's a fascinating perspective, Rachel. I think many people feel like if they're not getting close to 100%, they're failing. What's behind that misconception, and why is partial understanding so valuable?
Well, we often equate partial understanding with no understanding at all, which simply isn't true. That initial 30% is your brain actively engaging, picking up patterns, and building connections, even if you're not consciously aware of every single word.
So it's about trusting the process and recognizing that even small gains are significant. We'll explore how to embrace that 30% and turn it into consistent progress right after this. Welcome back, everyone. Before the break, Rachel, you mentioned how understanding just 30% of what you hear in English is not only okay, but actually a really effective starting point. How do we shift our mindset from feeling discouraged to truly embracing that partial understanding?
It's all about reframing our expectations, Jake. Many learners get stuck because they mistakenly believe they need to understand every single word immediately. That's just not how language acquisition works in the real world.
So that pressure to achieve 100% comprehension right away can actually become a significant barrier to progress?
Exactly. It creates this overwhelming feeling, leading to discouragement. Instead of seeing 30% as a failure, we should really see it as a significant achievement, especially when you compare it to starting a completely new language like Russian or Swahili, where your initial understanding might be zero.
That's a powerful comparison, Rachel. It really puts things into perspective. How does that initial 30% then gradually grow into more? Is it simply about more exposure, or is there something more to it?
It is about consistent exposure, but it's also about trusting the process. Think of it like building a muscle. Each time you listen, even if you only grasp a fraction, your brain is actively making new connections and picking up patterns. That 30% slowly but surely becomes 40, then 50, and so on.
So persistence is truly key here. What practical steps can our listeners take to make this consistent listening a regular part of their daily lives?
The best advice I can give is to make it a habit. Integrate English listening into activities you already do every single day.
Could you give us some specific examples of how that might look?
Absolutely. You could listen while you're walking the dog, cooking dinner, doing the dishes, or even during your commute. It doesn't have to be a dedicated sit-down study session. Just having English audio in the background, even if it's passive listening, is incredibly beneficial.
That's a great point about passive listening. Is there a significant difference between active and passive listening in terms of overall learning effectiveness?
There is. Active listening, where you're really focusing and trying to understand, is crucial for deeper comprehension and vocabulary acquisition. But passive listening builds familiarity with sounds, rhythm, and intonation, which are foundational. Both play a vital role in language acquisition.
And what about the material itself? Should learners stick to things they understand well, or should they challenge themselves with more difficult content?
This brings us to the concept of comprehensible input. Ideally, you want material that's slightly above your current level. It's challenging enough to push you to learn new things, but not so difficult that it becomes completely frustrating and you give up.
So that 30% understanding is actually a kind of sweet spot for optimal growth?
Precisely. It means you're getting enough context to infer meaning and pick up on new vocabulary, but there's still plenty of new language and structures to learn from.
Are there any specific types of audio materials you recommend for different levels of learners?
For beginners, simplified podcasts or audiobooks designed specifically for language learners are excellent. As you progress, you can move to native speaker podcasts on topics you genuinely enjoy, or even news broadcasts if you're looking for more formal language.
It sounds like patience is an absolutely huge part of this entire language learning journey.
It truly is, Jake. Language learning isn't a sprint. It's definitely a marathon. There will be plateaus, and some days might feel harder than others. But consistent effort, even small amounts daily, always leads to progress over time.
And I imagine hearing success stories from others who've gone through this exact process can be incredibly motivating for new learners.
Definitely. We've seen countless learners transform their comprehension from that initial 30% to near fluency just by sticking with it. It's a testament to the brain's incredible ability to adapt and learn when given consistent input.
That's a really inspiring thought to leave our listeners with. Rachel, thank you so much for sharing these invaluable insights today.
My pleasure, Jake. I truly hope it helps many learners feel more confident and less overwhelmed on their English journey.
And I think that's the perfect note to end on, Rachel. It's really about shifting that perspective, isn't it? From feeling like you're failing at 30% to realizing that's actually where the real learning begins.
Exactly, Jake. It's a marathon, not a sprint, and every bit of consistent effort truly does add up over time. Trusting that process is absolutely key.
We've covered so much today, from embracing that initial partial understanding to making listening a daily habit. It's clear that patience and consistent exposure are the true game changers here.
Absolutely. And remembering that even passive listening contributes to building that foundational familiarity. It all plays a part in the bigger picture.
So for anyone out there feeling discouraged, just remember Rachel's advice. That 30% is your starting line, not a finish line. It's a powerful place to be.
And enjoy the journey. It's not just about the destination, but all the small victories and discoveries along the way.
Couldn't agree more. Rachel, thank you again for joining us and for shedding such valuable light on this common challenge for language learners.
It was a real pleasure, Jake. Thanks for having me.
And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We truly hope this episode empowers you to approach your English learning with renewed confidence and a fresh perspective. We'll catch you next time.